Go on then. Make your case. Why would I help you?
I require specialist information that I'm certain you have. Certain law.
You are an Inquisitor, Eisenhorn. All the resources of the Imperium are at your disposal. Am I to understand that, well, that your scope has become somewhat limited?
What I need might be regarded as prescribed knowledge. What? What?
So, you finally reached that place. How wonderful.
What place?
The place where you cross the line.
I have...
All Inquisitors cross the line eventually.
I tell...
All of them. It's an occupational hazard.
Listen to me, you worthless...
Methinks Inquisitor Eisenhorn protests too much. The line, Gregor. The line. The line between order and chaos. Between right and wrong. Between mankind and man unkind. I know it because I've crossed it. Willingly, of course. Gladly. Skipping and dancing and delighting. For the likes of you, it is a more painful process.
I don't think this conversation is going anywhere, Glaw. I'm leaving.
So soon? It was on Quenthus 8, in the spring of 19.M41.
What was?
The moment I crossed the line. 19.M41. I was on Quenthus 8, buying fighters for my pit games. They're a good breed, the Quenthi. I was perhaps 25. One of the pit marshals at the amphitheater I was visiting advised me to see a fighter who had been brought in from the very edges of the Ultima Segmentum. A great tanned fellow from a feral world called Borea. His name was Ah. This Ah was a piece of work. He was a true find. They kept him shackled permanently. The pit marshal told me that he'd torn a fellow prisoner's arm off during transit and scalped a careless stadium guard with his teeth.
Charming.
I bought him, of course. I think he liked me. He had no real language, naturally, and his table manners. He slept in his own soil and rutted like a canine.
No wonder he liked you.
Cruel boy. I am a cultured man. I was a cultured man. Now I am an erudite and dangerous box. But don't forget my learning and upbringing, Eisenhorn. You'll be amazed how easy it is for a well-raised and schooled son of the Imperium to slide across that line I mentioned. The moment was there on Quenthus, in the amphitheater, under the spring sun. The pit marshal showed me Ah, and tempted me to purchase him. Ah looked at me, and I think he saw a kindred soul. In his simple, broken speech, he implored me to buy him, telling me graphically what sport I would have of him. And to seal the deal, he offered me his talk.
His talk?
That's right. The slaves were allowed to keep certain familiar items, provided they weren't potential weapons. Ah wore a golden torque around his neck, the mark of his tribe. It was inlaid with astonishing technology. Borea might have been a beast world by then, but millennia back, It had clearly been an advanced outpost of mankind. It had fallen into a feral dark age because chaos had touched it. And that talk was a relic of the decline. Its forbidden, forgotten technology focused the stuff of the darkness into the wearer's mind. No wonder Borea, where every adult male wore one, was a savage waste. I was intrigued. I put the talk on.
You put it on?
I was young and reckless, what can I say? I put it on. Within a few hours, the tendrils of the warp had suffused my receptive mind. And do you know what?
What?
It was wonderful. Liberating. I was alive to the real universe at last. I had crossed the line, and it was bliss. Suddenly, I saw everything as it actually was, not as the Ministorum and the rot-hearted Emperor wanted to see it. Engulfing eternity, the fragility of the human race, the glories of the warp, the fleeting treasure of flesh, the incomparable sweetness of death. All of it.
And you ceased to be Pontius Glaw, the seventh son of a respectable imperial house, and became Pontius Glaw, the sadistic idolater and abomination.
The boys got to have a hobby.
You think I've crossed the line too, don't you?
Yes. It's in your bearing. You seem like a man who has understood the wider significance of the warp.
Why is that?
I told you, it happens to all Inquisitors sooner or later. I can imagine you as a young man, stiff and puritanical, in the Scholam. It must have seemed so simple to you back then. The light and the dark.
Not so obvious these days.
Of course not. Because the warp is in everything. It is there even in the most ordered things you do.
According to you, I'm already damned.
Everyone is damned. Mankind is damned. The whole human species. Chaos and death are the only real truths of reality. To believe otherwise is ignorance. And the Inquisition, so proud and dutiful and full of its own importance, so certain that it is fighting against chaos, is the most ignorant thing of all. Your daily work brings you closer and closer to the warp, increases your understanding of orderless powers. Gradually, without noticing it, even the most puritanical and rod-stiff Inquisitor becomes seduced. The first step is the knowledge. An Inquisitor must understand the basic traits of chaos in order to fight it. In a few years, he knows more about the warp than most untutored cultists. Then, the second step. The moment he breaks the rules and allows some aspect of chaos to survive or remain so that he can study it and learn from it. I wouldn't even bother trying to deny that one, Eisenhorn. I'm right here, aren't I?
You are. But understanding is essential. Even a Puritan will tell you that. Without it, the Inquisition's struggle is hopeless. The third step?
The third step is the line itself. When the Inquisitor becomes a radical, When he chooses to use chaos against chaos, when he employs the agencies of the warp, when he asks the heretical for help.
I see.
I'm sure you do. So, are you going to ask me to help you?